rapport building is really, really fundamental to navigating a deal. And if you have a really strong relationship with the seller or the buyer, depends obviously if you're buying or selling, but if you have a really strong relationship with the other party, that can really help bridge a lot of gaps in a transaction. And in many cases, when you're doing a deal, there are lots of opportunities for feelings to get hurt or miscommunication, or there's just a lot of emotional stuff. And so when you invest in rapport, that is the glue that can hold things together when things might get tough or contentious in a negotiation.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Billions to Billions podcast, where we guide successful entrepreneurs and investors on their journey from millions to billions. We believe the key to scaling your business and compounding your wealth starts every day with the mindset of stewardship over ownership and applying billionaire principles. Our ultimate goal to help you scale and compound your wealth and impact so you can give more or all of it away. I'm your host today, Brett Swartz, and each and every episode, we feature some of the world's top entrepreneurs, millionaires, and billionaires. They share their principles, values, secrets, and wisdom, providing each of us with the insights we need to reach the next level of success and impact. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of the great state of Tennessee, and he's got a really fantastic background. He was a Forbes 30 Under 30 alum and partner in multiple Inc. fastest growing companies. He's a private equity sponsor who has scaled businesses across multiple industries. And he is the founder and managing partner of, I think it's Eidolon Capital, Eidolon Capital. And he is the major investor and chairman of Williams Medical Group, Fresh Technology Inc., and Highland Industry Staffing, and so much more. Please welcome to the show with me, Matt Bodnar. Matt, how you doing?
What's up, Brett? Thanks so much for having me on here. I'm excited to talk about how we can get to a billionaire status.
Absolutely. It's one step at a time, right? And having amazing individuals like yourself on the show. Before we go and dive into M&A deal mastery, we're talking about all things mergers and acquisitions, buying and scaling deals, but mostly putting deals together. I do want to take one other step back, Matt. I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing and help to others. So what would you say is that like superpower, that strength that you feel that you were given, one or two? How does it help and how you help and bless people today?
Yeah, so I would say the strength or superpower, and I think about this a lot, candidly, that I've been blessed with, is probably the ability to synthesize information and communicate. And so I was a debater in high school. Actually won the national championship my senior year, and debate really helped instill in me this ability to process a lot of information, to synthesize it really quickly, and also to understand how to communicate and convey information to people. And to me, that's a really undervalued and often not understood skill in the business world as a whole, right? They don't teach you, if you go to business school, you're not learning about emotional intelligence and how to deal with communication skills in tough or difficult situations. And so I've spent a lot of my career studying psychology and human interaction, and even fields as varied as hostage negotiation and things like that, to really uncover how I can communicate as effectively as possible. And I don't think by any means I'm the best communicator on earth, but it's a skill that I've tried to hone and really polish, and something that I think has been substantially impactful in terms of my ability to do deals. And for me, deals typically means buying businesses or selling businesses, doing acquisitions. And a lot of people might think it's all about tough negotiation and leveraging people and being hard as nails and all this stuff. And really what I found is it's mostly the opposite. It's about building relationships. It's about communication. It's about emotional intelligence. And those things can be really powerful tools as you navigate the dynamics of big transactions.
Amazing. We're speaking with Matt Bodnar, is how you pronounce it, but how you spell it is Bodnar. You can find more about Matt by going to mattbodnar.com. And so today we're going to be talking about M&A deal mastery. And in particular, now that I've got a little bit of background on your strengths, we're going to be talking about high stakes negotiations and communications to build relationships and find common ground. And so with that in mind, Matt, what's the number one secret to coming into, I imagine you're walking into the boardroom, or you're presenting that LOI, you're meeting the founders for the first time. This is a multi-million dollar, or tens of millions of dollar purchase. What's the number one secret either to building the rapport or making that connection before the stakes really start to ramp up?
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. It's all about rapport building, and I'll tell you a story or two of the extremes that I'll go to do that. But to me, rapport building is really, really fundamental to navigating a deal. And if you have a really strong relationship with the seller or the buyer, depends obviously if you're buying or selling, but if you have a really strong relationship with the other party, that can really help bridge a lot of gaps in a transaction. And in many cases, when you're doing a deal, there are lots of opportunities for feelings to get hurt or miscommunication, or there's just a lot of emotional stuff. And so when you invest in rapport, that that is the glue that can hold things together when things might get tough or contentious in a negotiation. And so I'll give you one instance of the links that I go to build rapport with somebody is my business partner and I were looking at a manufacturing business a couple months ago. We flew out to rural Ohio and toured this guy's giant plastic injection molding business. And we got there and we sat down in his boardroom, as you said. And when you envision boardroom, a lot of times the image that comes to mind is like glass windows, skyscrapers in the background, everybody's in a suit, like fancy law firm. This was basically wood paneling, 70s vintage, very old school manufacturing business, which is mostly where I end up being when I'm having a lot of these negotiations. And we spent over 2 hours. We sat down in his boardroom, spent over 2 hours talking about his life and his family, and his son had just gotten married, and he loved going fishing in Lake Michigan, and we talked about all kinds of stuff. We joked about my business partner's dating life and all of this stuff for more than 2 hours. And my personal philosophy is I will never break the rapport building phase of a conversation until the other person breaks it first. And so they went for over 2 hours of just basically talking and laughing, joking about random stuff. And then eventually he looks at me and goes, I guess, should we start talking about business stuff? Right. And so that was when we started talking about the business and learning more about what they were up to and all of those kinds of things. But that relationship, that investment in that relationship was so critical. And to me, I will really overinvest in relationship building because I think it's just the bridge that helps transactions cross to the finish line. And I think it's something that's really critical and important.
Not only that, but isn't it the best part? Because you get to learn about things that bring the whole deal to life, right? You get to learn about the motivations, the desires, the challenges, the background, the context, the life of the person who started a company, perhaps mostly from scratch,
Yep.
who poured blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. And you naturally are going to care more. And it's going to lead you to actually be a better steward for what you're receiving, right? You're going to have a higher appreciation. Part of what we do here at Build a Billions podcast is practicing a mindset of stewardship over ownership. And I want you to think about this for a second, right? Ownership, what does it lead us to? It tends to lead us to, generally speaking, if it goes the wrong way, it can lead us to entitlement, right? I'm owed something, I deserve something, I've earned something. What does
Yep.
stewardship lead us to? Well, if we let it go the right way, it should lead us to gratitude, right? It should lead us towards responsibility. It should lead us towards a heart that says, wow, what an opportunity to buy a business from somebody who's walking away into the next chapter, and he's passing on a legacy of some sort. And
Yep.
now I get to be a steward of that as well as build wealth. Talk about that mindset of stewardship versus ownership and what that means to you.
Yeah, that's really fundamental to our approach to buying businesses. And we have a very long-term horizon when we invest in or acquire a company. So we do sell and we do exit deals, but our philosophy is when we buy, we have an indefinite hold period. So we're not buying for a 3-year, 5-year, 7-year window and looking to resell the business. When we purchase something, we're really looking to hold it for the long term. And that probably comes from reading one too many Warren Buffett shareholder letters, but my philosophy and my approach is all about long-term value creation. And if we really have a long-term orientation, we're going to make better investment decisions, we're going to make better decisions for the business, and we're not going to be thinking short-term and cutting costs and really deciding things that are ultimately sabotaging the long-term future and vision for the company. And I think that really helps us candidly from a deal making standpoint, because our market position, if you want to use that term for it, is much more around we want to be a shepherd of the business. We want to be somebody who can take care of the people, take care of the stakeholders, take care of the legacy of the company, and not just slash and burn the cost, juice it as much as we can, and sell it down the road 3 years later, right? That's the opposite of our approach. We want to take care of the folks that are there. In most cases, we will put in place some kind of plan or framework that gives equity to a number of the key management people, creates profit sharing pools, that kind of stuff. In fact, at a manufacturing business that we bought about 2 years ago, we just put in place, or not just, but after we bought the business, we rolled out a whole profit sharing plan for the entire company, where we take a percentage of the profits. We actually have a thermometer that we put on the warehouse floor where we have the profits for the year, and then at the end of the year, we take a percentage of those and bonus them out to the entire employee pool. Everybody in the company on a pro rata basis, just as a thank you, and also a means of keeping everybody's incentives aligned. And so our strategy is really all about that stewardship mentality. It's not about ramping a deal up and selling it. It's about how do we build long-term value as if we were never going to sell this business, and we're going to own it indefinitely, right? Because if you're really building long-term enterprise value, you want to be focused on doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, we're talking with Matt Bodnar. You can find him at mattbodnar.com. I'm going to spell it for you: Bodnar, mattbodnar.com. He builds, buys, and invests in great companies globally. He's been featured on CBS, Forbes, Business Insider, Entrepreneur, Inc., Huffington Post. And he's got a phenomenal background where he's mainly looking for private investment platform. With his private investment platform, Edelon Capital, he's looking to acquire companies with 5 million to 50 million in revenue and between 1 million and 10 million EBITDA. And that's part of what he's doing. Okay, Matt. So I love everything you're talking about. I have another thought for you here. I believe that what the highest currency that cannot be deflated, or the most valuable like